Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief brought to you by Lay of the Land, where we bring you those top stories making headlines every Monday to Thursday. So before we head off for a well-deserved rest this weekend, let's take a look at those top stories. Now, over the year, we have been talking about Ben & Jerry's and the boycott and all the effects and all the states in the United States that were starting to enact their anti-BDS laws and withdraw their pension funds from its holding company Unilever. Well, yesterday, in a joint statement issued by our Foreign Ministry and our Economic Ministry, it was announced that just like that, the boycott by Ben & Jerry's of Israel is now over. Just like that, the Ben & Jerry's boycott melted. So let's take a look at what happened. Unilever released a statement shortly after that. They said over the course of the year, they had been speaking to a variety of different parties, including the Israeli government. And they were quite firm in their stance in that they reiterated their support for the state of Israel and also that they are proud to have so many different products sold across the country. They also stated quite unequivocally that when they bought Ben & Jerry's in the year 2000, they had agreed to let Ben & Jerry's independent board make social decisions. But when it came to financial and operational decisions, they, as the holding company, reserved the right. And on this particular issue, they felt they had to step in. I wonder if it had anything to do with the millions that they stood to have lost through those anti-BDS laws being enacted. Anyway, they also stated quite unequivocally that they do not support BDS and will not support BDS, and also mentioned that BDS is anti-Semitic. Now, as you can imagine, BDS are not happy about the decision. We've heard from the founders of Ben & Jerry's who issued their own statement saying they are aware of the decision of Unilever and they disagree with it. So what does this decision mean? The decision basically means that Ben & Jerry's will continue to be sold in East Jerusalem and the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria, however you want to call it, but it will be labeled in Hebrew and in Arabic. And very importantly, the Israeli manufacturer who stood to lose his license to reproduce Ben & Jerry's ice cream will retain that license independently and continue to make the delicious treats as he has been doing. So when you are in Israel and you see a tub of Ben & Jerry's and it's written in Hebrew or Arabic, please boycott that ice cream. So we have heard from Omar Shakir of Human Rights Watch, a big proponent of BDS, who was instrumental in getting Ben & Jerry's to boycott in the first place. He has released his statement, very, very angry, as have a number of other BDS supporters. Well, I can tell you this. They won't be drowning their sorrows and depressed eating a tub of Ben & Jerry's now, will they? Jewish organizations across America, including the Simon Wiesenthal Center, the Anti-Defamation League, Stand With Us, and various others, praised Unilever for this decision, as well as Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs that worked round the clock to ensure that Unilever were well appraised of what a boycott by Ben & Jerry's could actually mean. We really hope that this has been a significant lesson for any organization or any commercial endeavor that wants to boycott Israel. Hatred never pays dividends. In other news, the other big story we have been following all week is the Knesset. Earlier today, the Knesset was officially dissolved after a series of delays and debates. It has also been confirmed that Israelis will head to the polls on the 1st of November as a motion brought forward by the opposition to have the elections on the 25th of October was voted or defeated in a vote of 57 to 47. Meanwhile, the handover between former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and now interim Prime Minister Yair Lapid took place earlier today, and it was actually a very, very moving ceremony. The two leaders sat together. There was a formal handover of paperwork and what has been happening from the Prime Minister's office. Outgoing Prime Minister actually blessed Yair Lapid. He blessed him in a traditional prayer that a parent would bless their child with on a Friday night, wishing him every success. And Lapid responded by saying, "You see, even secular people do these prayers. My mother blessed me with the same prayer earlier today." A very moving ceremony. They reiterated that this is just a parting. It's not the end of working together, and they consider each other, apart from good co-workers, to be really very good friends, and this was evident during the handover ceremony. Lapid then departed for Yad Vashem's Hall of Remembrance. He made mention of his father and his vow to always protect the safety of the State of Israel. He will now head to meet with President Herzog. As for Naftali Bennett, it was confirmed last night that he will not be running in the upcoming elections and will retire from politics for now. Earlier today, 3 were injured, 1 IDF officer and 2 civilians, when terrorists opened fire at worshippers making their way for morning prayers at Joseph's tomb in the city of Nablus. There was an exchange of heavy gunfire and 1 IDF officer was lightly injured. However, they managed to successfully evacuate the worshippers to safety. Now, just as an aside on this subject, this is an infringement, a violent infringement on the rights of worshippers to pray at a holy site. Do you think we will hear an international condemnation about this? Or should I really not hold my breath? And our final story, because we always like to end our broadcast with something more positive. This year we say Mazal Tov to Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, who received the $1 million Genesis Prize in a ceremony in Jerusalem last night. On his acceptance, Bourla said he would use the prize money to build a Holocaust museum in his hometown of Thessaloniki in Greece. Thessaloniki, or Salonika as it was called back then, had a thriving Jewish community that was basically decimated as a result of the Holocaust. And Bourla, who has Jewish roots himself, is in fact Jewish, has spoken of his family members, some who survived and some who were exterminated during the Holocaust. So that brings us to the end of today's broadcast, but check out our website while you're looking for something constructive to do this weekend. There is a fantastic article written by Holocaust educator and niece of a Schindler Jew, Tali Natus. She has written about the importance of educating about genocides. She looks at the Rwandan genocide, the Holocaust, and writes an extremely moving article. It is also up on our Facebook page. You can find us at Lottel's site. Give us a like, a follow, share our content, and check us out on the weekend to see what article we have picked from the vault for you to read. Our YouTube channel is at The Brief, or at The Israel Brief rather. So if you are watching us on YouTube, please click on that red subscribe button and encourage your friends to do so as well. That way we get the news hot off the Israeli press and out to the world for everybody to see. The news that you won't see in the mainstream media. And finally, we're on Twitter. Our handle is at LayOfTheLand5. Follow us there, interact with us. We love it when you do. Now, I just want to wish you all a wonderful, a peaceful, and a safe weekend. Shabbat Shalom wherever you are. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief. Our family at Lay of the Land wish you all a wonderful weekend. Stay tuned and join us again on Monday as we bring you the top stories from right here in Israel.